video number 29 for bass players, and in this video we are going to learn to play page 18 and 19 in your book. So go ahead and open up there, and first thing you're going to notice is that the little letters have gone away. You might also notice that the book is asking you actually to use your bow. We are not going to do that, not yet. We're not quite ready for that. We're treating this more like a note reading type of thing. You're actually having to read and play notes at a very specific time. So if you have been behind on your note reading skills, you're really going to struggle with this. So go back, work on your note reading before you try to do this video, because it's just going to frustrate you. Remember, there's only 8 notes that you have to learn. You can absolutely do that, but you need to be able to do them really, really fast. Because now, not only are we having to identify them at a specific speed, like we did with our clap and say, we did a few videos ago, we are now actually playing those notes. Okay, so you've got to be super fast at reading your notes and being able to identify how to play them as well. We are not going to do everything on this page, but we are going to start with number 55 in the book. Now before we play it, just look at what notes you play. You play just G in the first measure, then just F sharp, then G. It's just G's and F sharps. That's it. Okay, so we're going to have a tunnel. We're going to kind of have hovered above G and then F sharp. Let's try 55. If you think you can do this but it goes a little fast, what I would recommend doing rather than playing with me, go log into EEI, Essential Elements Interactive, slow the tempo down. Or you can also just do it with a metronome and slow the tempo down, keeping a steady tempo. All right, here we go, 55. G
55.
and F sharp.
Back
That's
and
the
forth.
only 2 notes you have. Watch the music. First note's a G. Ready, say, and go. G. Now look ahead. What's next? F sharp. What's next? Open G again. Look ahead. Next. G, F sharp, G. Okay? I hope you did okay with that. If you missed anything on that, anything at all, because there's only 2 notes, what you need to do is pause the video and get good at that, okay, before we try to go on, because they will get more and more complicated. Go on to number 56. Number 56 has 3 different notes, G, F sharp, and E. So look quickly through your line and check out the different notes. G, G, F sharp, then E, E, F sharp. A good thing to do with all of these is pause the video, clap and say it first, and then return to the video and play along with me. Let's try 56.
56.
Fingers hovered above, ready
Down
for F
and
sharp,
up.
but your first note is open G. And 56, and go G, G. Now press it for F sharp, look ahead, what's next? E. Ahead, F sharp, look ahead, what's next? G, G, F sharp, now E, F sharp, G. Okay, again, pause this, play it as many times as you need to, slow it down if you need to. Go on to 57. Now 57 is going to be tricky for a couple of reasons. First of all, there are no rest until the end of the line. Then there's a repeat. However, I want you to notice that there's a pattern here. The more that we can identify patterns in our music, the more quickly you're going to be able to learn them. So look at the first 3 notes of measure 1. They're all E's, 3 E's. Look at the first 3 notes of measure 2. They're all E's, 3 E's. Look at measure 3, the first 3 notes. They're all G's. And then the last measure, 3 E's. Okay, so you have 3 of the same note and then it changes. And then the next measure, 3 of the same note and then it changes. Okay, so find those patterns. I would recommend trying this without me first, pausing the video and trying it first. And then when you feel ready, join me, have your E finger down. 57. Don't forget it repeats.
Tribal lament.
E fingers down, other fingers are hovered above. Ready, and go. E, E, E. Now open G, look ahead. What's next? E, E, E. Now F sharp, now G, G, G. Back to F sharp. Now E, 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 and repeat. E, E, E. Open D, E, E. Look ahead. What's next? F sharp. 3 G's. Look ahead. What's next? F sharp and E, E, E. Now, you may have noticed at the end of that line it has this little symbol and it says bow lift in parentheses. We will learn about that when we start bowing. Remember, the book has the intention that you're bowing these. We're not going to bow them. Look at 58. Look how easy that is. That's just high D the whole time. It will be a challenge when we are bowing it. That's why that's there in the book. We're going to skip 58. We're also going to skip 59 because 59 is just high D and C sharp. You've got that. 60, however, is going to be a challenge. When we did the clap and say, I told you that a lot of people mess up in measure 3. Well, that's particularly true for bass players because what you have to do in measure 3, you have to shift from third position to first position. When should you do it? You should do the shift during the rest in measure 2. When should you think about the shift? At the beginning of measure 2. One whole measure ahead of time. You're already thinking, I'm going to have to shift, I'm going to have to shift, and here we go. Okay? So just do this. Let's not do with the recording just yet. Do measure 1 and 2 with the metronome. Measure 1 and 2, echo me. High D down. High D, C sharp, high D, rest. C sharp, C sharp, C sharp, and go. High D, C sharp, high D, rest. C sharp, C sharp, C sharp. Okay? If you didn't get that, pause the video please until you can do it. Go on to measure 3. Now in measure 3, you're down in first position. Now measure 3, you have B, A, B, and A. That's it. Okay? Do measure 3 and 4, echoing me. B, A, B, B, A, and ready to go. B, A, B, B, A. Now let's try it from the beginning. At the end of measure 2, move. Okay, let's try it. Number 60, high D, finger down, third position. Down. Up in third position, good posture, and ready to go. High D, C sharp, high D. Now what's next? C sharps. Now you're thinking about the shift, and now do the shift. Go. B, A, B, B, A. We're gonna go ahead and try that again. Go back to third position, be ready for it. High D down, ready, and go. High D, C sharp, high D, look ahead. What's next? C sharps. I'm thinking about that shift. Now I do the shift. Go. B, A, B, B, A. Now you might find 61 to be a little bit easier. It also has a shift, and the shift is also in measure 3. So in 61, we're going to start in first position. It's very similar to 60. It's kind of the opposite, kind of upside down. So A, B, A, and then 3 Bs. While I'm playing those 3 Bs, I'm thinking about, I'm going to have to shift, I'm going to have to shift, I'm going to have to shift. And then during the rest in measure 2, I move up to a C sharp. And then we have C sharp, high D, C sharp, high D, high D, high D. Play measure 1 and 2 only. Echo me. A, A, B, A, rest, be ready. 1, 2, ready, and go. A, B, A, rest, B, B, B. Now do the second half of it. Move yourself up to third position. C sharp down, echo me. C sharp, high D, C sharp, high D, high D, high D, and go. C sharp, high D, C sharp, high D, high D, high D. Okay? Now let's try it. Let's try it. If you want to, before you try it with me, pause the video. That's a great idea. Remember, in measure 2, we're thinking about shifting. At the end of measure 2, we do the shift very quickly and accurately. 61.
61.
A finger down, 1 finger in the G. 1, 2, 61, and go. A, B, A. Now B's. I'm thinking about the shift that's coming up, and now I do it. C sharp, high D, C sharp, high D, high D, high D. Go back to first position. We're going to do this one again. A finger down, and ready, and go. A, B, A. Look ahead. B's. I'm thinking about that shift, and now I go. Shift. C sharp, high D, C sharp, high D, high D, high D. Now look at number 62. We're actually going to skip that one. Pretty easy, and also, if you're doing your D major scale every day like you should, you've already done this today. You've already gone down the D scale. So we're going to skip that one. We're also going to skip 64. However, we are going to do 63. In this one, again, we want to find the pattern. All right. So I want you to look at measure 1 and measure 3 of 63 on the first line, and then look at measure 1 and measure 3 of 63 on the second line. For the whole measure, it's the same note. For example, measure 1 goes D, D, D. Measure 3 goes F sharp, F sharp, F sharp. Measure 1 of the second line, A, A, A. Measure 3 of the second line, C sharp, C sharp, C sharp. Okay? The next thing I want you to look at, and this is an overall thing to find the pattern, look at the first note of every measure. The first note of measure 1 is a D. Now measure 2, first note E. Measure 3, F sharp. Measure 4, G. Beginning of the next line, A, B, C sharp, high D. So overall, it's going up the scale. Now, what's happening in measure 2 and 4 of each line? So it goes up like a scale. It goes D, 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 and then it goes up D, goes back to the D, and then back to the E. Then it's going to go 3 F sharps, go up to the G, up to the G, back to the F sharp, up to the G. So this one is a 2-measure phrase, okay? I want us just to try it together from the beginning. I think if you recognize that pattern, you're not going to have a problem. That's why this is called Scale Simulator. It's kind of like a scale, but not really. 63.
63. Scale
Fingers
Simulator.
hovered above. 1, 2, 63, and go D, 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 look ahead, E, D, E, E, open D, back to E, now up to F sharp, 3 F sharps, now make a tunnel, because you're going to go G, F sharp, G, go back to the F sharp, back to G, now go to A's, 3 A's, then go to B, go back to A, back to B, now we got to shift, oh, C sharp, high D. Because until you get really good at your shifts, you always want to look at the whole song and say, okay, where do I have to shift? Until shifting is a super easy thing for you, where do I have to shift? Do I have to shift up or down or not at all? And maybe practice that shift. So if you did really well until the end, practice your shifts and practice getting into the new position. So for example, you would practice line 2, measure 2 and 3 over and over until you got that shift accurately. Keep practicing all of these because the songs, like I said, are going to keep getting more complicated, and especially now that you're going to be you're really reading notes now. You're really reading and reading music. We need to be able to be super fast at all that stuff so we can play even more exciting songs. Okay, so keep practicing, and I'll see you in the next video.